This is Gerardo Del Real with Resource Stock Digest. Joining me today is the chairman and CEO of Hannan Metals, Mr. Michael Hudson. Mike, how are you today?
I'm very well. Top of the world down under. Thank you, Gerardo.
Well, listen, I know we were overdue for a catch up. You've been busy building and expanding on billion dollar and soon to be multi-billion dollar discovery over with Southern Cross Gold and Sunday Creek. We now have started that process over at the Valiente project with several targets, and we're in the early stages of trying to figure out the systems there. But you had some news here on the 2nd of July that I thought was pretty important. We've talked about Previsto Central, the monster, being a sea of gold with, very high grade pockets. And now the team, the way that I understand it, is expanding the footprint to figure out just how big these high grade pockets are and how many potentially there are. And so the latest release I thought was a really important one where you expanded the gold footprint there to a 750 meter strike, and the trenches included 4.6 meters of 7.2 grams per ton gold in a 30-meter step out. So I just wanted to have you on to provide some context about the way that you're approaching the sampling there at Previsto, because I know there's a lot of eyes watching that emerging discovery while we try to make a discovery on the three projects that we're drilling this year.
Exactly. So Previsto is a massive system. It's a 5 by 5 kilometer area. Matches very well in that footprint to Cripple Creek or Porgera, right? Of some of the biggest not high sulfidation, alkaline gold systems on Earth. And we just started to make this discovery this year. These higher grades, I think we found we announced in January when we started to find the higher grade parts of the system. And we've been working our way around that high grade zone, extended it from a 25 meters at something like 26 meters at 5.4 grams. Then we extended it to a larger zone of 130 meters at about 1.5 grams. And then we've stepped away from it, and we found multiple high grade areas that are going, within tens of meters. We've seen sort of the half ounce numbers, 2.3 at 18, etc. Extending beyond that, tens of meters. Now we took a bit of a bigger step out and to the east and found these results that have included 13.5 meters at 2 grams and 4.6 at 7. Very important to understand that these are just where we're finding outcrops. So this is high jungle. The guys have to strip back the vegetation, find the outcrop, strip back the vegetation and channel sample it. So it's not as if we're just finding outcrop everywhere. So they're little windows of insight into the system. So incredible that we can find these grades with that form of exploration. And then we've extended the system, like you said, over 750 meters. There's this lower grade 0.2 to 2 gram footprint over that 750 meters with the area of interest that I was just talking to, over 100 by 50 meters or something like that as a subset. Lots of opportunity to find more high grade zones. In fact, about 250 meters from that high grade zone I was talking to before, we sample, which meant basically we took a representative number of samples out of a 1 meter squared area. So that's only because that 1 meter squared area was what was exposed at surface, and it averaged 2 grams. Now that's a 250 meter step out. So obviously there's a lot of work to do around that also. So there'll be a lot more high grade results. I'm fairly confident will come to the table as we're pulling this apart. That's what these alkaline systems are. They're very high grade systems in smaller parts of the volume in this massive sea of low grade gold that you referred to. And that's exactly what we're seeing. And that's what Cripple Creek is and was very high grade in the day. Now it's a much lower grade heap leach system. And we're at the initial starts of just delineating the high grades, which are obviously our target.
Excellent. I think everybody's in agreement that we know the potential and scale, and that we have a massive discovery on our hands at Previsto, right? We are drilling right now, starting with one of the projects, one of the targets at Vista Alegre. And I understand that there were 2 drill holes completed and you were advancing a third. How is that going? I mean, you're drilling blind into an area that's never been explored with modern exploration of any kind. And that's a process, right? We saw that at Sunday Creek, although in fairness, at Sunday Creek, you did come out of the gate with, some good numbers, but we know that exploration takes a bit. How are things coming along? How is the drilling going technically? And where are we in that?
Well, Berlin's about 22 kilometres to the southwest from Previsto, so a slightly different part of the world. We've been drilling there for the last month and a half, I'd say. Now we've finished that third hole just literally as we speak today, and we're now waiting for assays, which should come in the next 3 to 4 weeks, I anticipate. Drilling a little bit slower as we've been getting used to the rocks, and the guys who are technically on the rig have been making great headway as they're understanding the rocks and what drilling muds, etc. to use. So the third hole was much faster than the first hole, for example, as they become used to it. Socially, everything's going well, and we're anticipating with great interest all the assays to come in and let you and your listeners know. And we've got 3 to 4 holes planned in Vista, Alegre, Ricardo Herrera, and Sortalecchio initially, and so we've got some decisions to make what to do with the next hole at Vista Alegre, and then we'll move to Ricardo Herrera and drill 3 or 4 holes there too, and then go to Sortalecchio and do the same. This is over 9 kilometres, 2 porphyry systems with a epithermal system wedged in between, like the meat in the sandwich, if you like. So first holes within 50 or 60 kilometres of anything else that's ever been drilled in this part of the world, in the history of the world. So really, really exciting stuff, and true frontier exploration.
No, look, exciting times. I can't wait to see what the first set of holes informs. Obviously, we all root for a discovery, but we also know that typically with exploration, you want to get into the system and start to understand it and decipher it, and that's the fun part. I love adding value with the drill bit. I'm excited that we're going to get information about 3 different, what I call projects. Some people call targets, but 3 different and distinct projects. And I think you mentioned the program should last roughly 6 months. I think by the end of the year, obviously, we'll have a much more informed opinion about what the potential could be there. So anything to add to that, Mike?
No, wise words, Gerardo. We want to find the best parts of these systems, and ideally earlier than later, and then we'll rank those targets and come back with more drilling into the best parts of the better system, basically. So this is a first up look at understanding them. Like I said, never been drilled ever before. So exciting times, and that's the business of exploration.
Looking forward to it. Last but not least, I have to ask you, just socially at Previsto, with that permitting process really starting to get underway. How are things coming along there as you work to move that forward?
We've got 10 to 15 people there at the moment collecting all the baseline data, the environmental data for the DIA, the Declaration Impacto Ambiental, which is like an EIA, Environmental Impact Assessment for drill permitting. So we're getting close to collecting all that data, where air, soil, vegetation, animals, etc., and then all the archaeological. We actually know there's no archaeological artifacts in the area, for example, now, which is very important to do all that work to make sure that your impact is low to zero in exploration. And we hope that work will be done and completed and put into a report by Q3 this year, and then it will be ready to submit to the authorities for drill permitting. And we know the Peruvian authorities aren't the quickest drill permitters on earth, but we'd like to see drilling, from 6 months after that submission. That's what we've challenged the authorities to do. They took about 11 months on the last one, but they are improving and they are very supportive and understanding what we're doing. And because this is not the first one we've done in these areas, everyone's learnt more about how to deal with them, us included, right, in terms of what the data is and how the authorities like to see it presented, and the authorities have much more comfort because they've been through it before.
Now, look, true frontier exploration. I rewatched the movie Gold the other day with Matthew McConaughey, and it took me back to my hike there in the jungle when I did the site visit. Really, really good stuff. Mike, thank you so much. Looking forward to having you back on here soon.
Fantastic stuff. Thanks, Gerardo.
Cheers. Hey everybody, Gerardo Del Real here. If you're enjoying the content that you just saw, you can let us know in 3 simple steps. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and please share across your network and on social media. Take care, everybody.